Welcome everybody to the Genesis Mindset. So today I got two special guests, DeFi Pulse Pro returning from the Mandala Matrix, and we got Richard. So today we're going to be talking about if we want to peg pDAI and it's going to be truly decentralized, then it looks like we, the market, have that power. So the profoundness of this is that we become the oracle. The market becomes the oracle. This is a very unique concept in cryptocurrency. So the new Atropa Treasury System by the Atropa dev has created a minting and burning dynamic that looks like it gives us, the market, the tools to peg pDAI and really peg it with confidence and belief by participating in the right ecosystem. So the team at Mandala Matrix, they've taken on this mission and are leading the way in showing the proof about how this is possible. So we're going to go through that today. And if anyone has any questions along the way, please feel free to ask. And with that, I'll hand over to you two lads.
Thanks, Stephen. DeFi, can I just very quickly interject something really important there? You say the team at Mandala Matrix. The team is everyone, and we now have 198 members in the Telegram group, and that we are all the Matrix. So there's no team. We are all doing everything. I just wanted to say that.
But I think that's quite profound, because this cannot be done individually. This can only be done as a community. And the solution is kind of anti-fragile. If only a few people attempt to do it, it will fail. But the more people that join in and partake, the stronger it will get. And ultimately, I think with enough people supporting this approach, we could peg pDAI to $1 in such a robust way that it would be almost impossible to depeg it. In fact, I couldn't think of a way that it might ever depeg if we have enough people supporting this methodology. So should I talk through the thinking, or do you want to answer?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do. And I think I just want to emphasize as well that point of the anti-fragility of it, because there's no centralized point of failure. The decentralized network is like, there's nothing more powerful than that. So exactly. I just think that that's such an underrated concept. But anyway, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just to continue with that point for a minute, I mean, literally we would have hundreds of thousands or thousands of individuals scattered across the world, all pegging pDAI individually, monitoring the situation. If it goes above $1, they would sell it. If it goes below $1, they would buy it up. And that literally is not possible to break, I think, if enough people are following that procedure and just independently looking to peg pDAI. I don't think we could break that. So it is actually very possible and a very robust mechanism if we can get enough people behind us. And I think, that's what Richard and I are trying to do in the Telegram group and with Mandala. So that's the basis of this all.
I don't think they could create a law, a Genius Act kind of law to stop something like that either, could they?
No.
Because it's not a stable coin in any of their senses of the word, is it? Other than from pure will of the people.
Exactly. It only exists as a stable coin in our consciousness. That's how are you gonna switch that off? You can't.
Okay. We are the oracle.
Exactly.
Perhaps if you bring up one of the charts, and we can demonstrate what we've done, and I can explain how we've done it.
All right. Let's
maybe the Mandala one's probably the nicest one to look at.
All right, you boys can see this? This one? Or this one, Mandala in effect?
Mandala in effect.
Look at this.
Yeah. It's been going a bit longer, so we've got a little bit more of a chart to show.
Yeah. So what we done here is we use Maria's V3 minter to create a child of Mandala. The child is called Effect. And then we've encouraged the community to burn when the price of the child is above the parent, and to buy the child up when it's below. And it's only really through the community's efforts that we've been able to peg this, because the V3 minter itself won't do the pegging. It's humans that do the pegging. And then there are no bots behind this there's nothing really to help except a bunch of humans that are actively engaged in looking at this chart, buying it up and selling it off when need be, and obviously burning the child coin across when they need more supply. But it's achievable, right? It's been done. The only difference between this peg and the way we would peg pDAI is that we wouldn't have the burn mint mechanism in the pDAI peg, but we don't need it. We don't need it. You could view the burn mint mechanism just as a way to give you the supply of the child coin. Once you've pegged, once humans are literally pegging this, you don't need the ARB mechanism. You just need to create a mechanism to create the supply of the child coin, and then it's pegged. Once there's confidence in the peg, there's no reason not to burn into the child, because the child and the parent are always 1-to-1. So there's absolutely no reason to burn. I mean, not to burn, sorry. So, I mean, Richard, do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, I mean, why did we use the V3 minter? It's, well, every coin in the Mandala Matrix system that you founded has a 1 billion supply, and you were able to mint 1.1 billion with the V3 minter before any ratio changes from 1-to-1. So we literally, with this Mandala in effect, be burning. We'd run out of supply of Mandala before the ratio would change. So it is a 1-to-1 burn, and there is a lot of confidence and unbelief in the community that these coins are the same value. So what some of the community is starting to realize and get on board with is that actually, when we're maintaining the peg and we're maybe selling some Mandala into effect, you may clip a certain amount of US dollar value of Mandala, might sell that into effect, but then you maintain the peg, and you look at your portfolio and you've got the same US dollar value. You haven't spent anything because you've just shifted the value into another coin.
In fact, sorry to interrupt. In fact, you've made some US dollar value because you made some
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, for myself personally, realizing that, I mean, if a person was to burn some supply of a coin, it's an incredibly benevolent, kind act on that person to send it, say, to the dead address. But any US dollar or any value that coin had, that person has lost. But by burning a coin, you're maintaining the same benevolent action for the token. So for Mandala in this particular case, pDAI for the pDAI experiment, they're not experiment, it's live now, but for the pDAI burner, but you're not losing all of that US dollar value of that coin. In fact, you might not be losing any, or you might be gaining. It may be worth more. So it's an incredible new narrative in crypto, I think, this burning a coin, as opposed to the brilliant buy and burn of, say, PulseX, where those PulseX are going to the dead address and they're gone forever. Over time, increasing that supply and demand, you can do the same, but you can actually just shift that value into something else, which is what I really sort of took on from playing with all of Atropa's the spine and all that over the last number of weeks.
Yeah, once you get into your head that you're burning, like pDAI, for instance, into MXDAI, its new child, and that you are not losing any value, you're just swapping one coin for another coin and for exactly the same value, then all you need is confidence in the peg to burn all your pDAI, because you have no doubt that your new child token is worth exactly what you had before. And if you burn it at the right time, in fact, you can end up with more of the child token.
Yeah.
So the confidence, so all we have to do really is establish a confidence in the peg that we can peg it, and then there should be no excuse to burn 100% of pDAI, basically. I mean, obviously taking it to extremes.
We don't want to burn 100% because we want.
You know what I mean. Let's go to infinity and forget about $1.
So can I just want to interject here for a minute here, guys. So just in the concepts of, just again, just in case there's new people that are watching this. So just to be very clear, so the treasury system, the Atropa Treasury System, and I'm hoping that this is going to give me some values here that I can actually use as an example. So this is 1x to parity, 1x. So here, so when it's above, you mint it for profit. So in this sense, you would be burning treasury bills. So the V1 minters is treasury bill. So you would burn treasury bill to mint this token, and then you would sell this token back for treasury bill, and you would recoup back your treasury bill, plus you would have some. The opposite of that is when it's below, and you would basically just swap this token for some treasury bill. You would swap treasury bill for this token, and you would be getting profit if it ends up going to parity. So you've got the over when it's over, and when it's under. And that's exactly what we're looking at here. So when it's over and when it's under, and this is what the guys are talking about having confidence and belief and the interchangeability of the tokens. We saw it with Ichidai, with pDAI and Ichidai. And I think there's probably going to be some fear of people like, well, I don't want to sacrifice my pDAI for this Ichidai. But when you really consider, if we end up getting a dynamic like this, and it won't be like this with Ichidai, just FYI, because it's a V4 minter, but if you get a dynamic like this, then it's the name of the token is irrelevant. They have the same value. It's interchangeable. So I just wanted to emphasize that and make that clear for people.
In fact, you don't even have to worry about buying or burning when the parent is above the child, or buying when the parent is below, when the child is below. You can just put that all to the side, and you can just have confidence in the peg and say, I'm just going to burn into this new coin, because burning it is reducing the supply of pDAI. And I can see that I've got confidence in this peg, so it doesn't matter if I hold pDAI or MXDAI. If you want, that's all you could do. Just get confidence in the peg and just burn. Then we need a group of people that are actually going to peg the thing. So those people, and we have to have enough of them, need to be concerned about the ARB structure, the buying when the child is below, except they need to worry about that, because we actually have to have people that are going to do that process to peg. But maybe for the majority of the people, it's just, do I have confidence in the peg? Yes. Okay, I'll burn my pDAI, and that's it.
Also, DeFi, adding to liquidity would be it was really important as well. So we've got a liquidity structure. This is why when I had an idea of doing a coin, and when I thought of Mandala, because after playing with making a coin myself and playing with liquidity, when you add liquidity for the first time, it can be, if you don't get it, the ratios right, it can be a problem. And DeFi has constructed this wonderful matrix where all the coins move as one. So he's what he calls a soft peg. So he is very knowledgeable with the ratios, and so that's something we push in really hard for the community, all of us in the matrix, to understand, is that if we're adding liquidity, we do it in specific ratios, trying to ensure that soft peg mechanism. So do you want to, DeFi, do you want to explain what the ratio is in the MXDAI?
Yeah. So, I mean, just backtracking a little bit. I mean, obviously, when you create the new coin, so MXDAI, the child of pDAI, we can get onto that a little bit later, you have to provide liquidity for it. Otherwise, you can't trade it. And even though you might be burning the one for the other, we have to be sure that there's enough liquidity supporting the child token. So it is paramount that enough people add liquidity. And then how we add the liquidity is also kind of important, although it'll become less and less important as the liquidity grows. So at the moment, the biggest liquidity pool for MXDAI, the pDAI child, is with Mandala. And the reason why we want to bring Mandala into the equation is because Mandala, its structure, the 15 interlinked coins, the 4,000 LPs, is a way to concentrate liquidity, an immense amount of liquidity, and then distribute that liquidity across all the token holders. And we can use that distributed liquidity to be comfortable that we'll always have the ammunition to peg pDAI when it gets to $1. And so we need to build up this concentrated liquidity pool in the Mandala Matrix to give us that ammunition. Now the one way to do that is to ensure that we LP Mandala with the MXDAI, the new child token, so that there is buy pressure on Mandala right from the beginning, and it's going to fill up with this liquidity. And then by pegging MXDAI to pDAI, basically to Mandala, we're going to have this equivalent growth in all those three coins, so that when we get to $1 pDAI, we will have enough liquidity in Mandala to defend it. Okay, that's a lot to take in, but that's kind of the logic behind why we are linking Mandala to pDAI and MXDAI, because it is this concentrated, or it should become this concentrated liquidity pool distributed among its token holders that can be used as ammunition to defend $1 pDAI.
Absolutely. And sorry, I'd said even to interject before you interject. Another aspect of that is our child of Mandala effect, its largest pool, although still needs to be added some more, is pDAI. So if pDAI suddenly goes on a run, then that will it will put pressure on dragging the peg of Mandala and effect away. So effect would actually be increasing. So then all the holders of effect have got the opportunity to then buy back Mandala for profit. Yeah. So when the child is at a higher price, they could buy back more Mandala and then mint. And then that is going to put pressure on Mandala to rise and rise to the occasion, rise in MXDAI, bringing that back up with it as well. It just supports. It's just sort of a two-folded approach to.
There's a virtuous circle there between Mandala and MXDAI to ensure that Mandala goes up in price. I mean, the reason why we have Lucent and Epiphany, these two other pegs, is because we want to deflate Mandala super fast, and the deflation in Mandala will serve to concentrate even more liquidity in the matrix, and we'll have even more ammunition to defend pDAI when it gets to $1. So the whole thing is kind of linked and balanced and set up to ensure that when we get to a $1 pDAI, we are able to keep it there.
Wow. The liquidity is really going up a lot in Mandala.
Yeah. It's still very thin, though. We've had a few whales trying to get in, and they're struggling. So it's still very thin. And this is important because we don't just want to focus on pDAI, MXDAI, Lucent, and effect and add liquidity there. We actually need to get liquidity into Mandala as well, because it's all one system, right? It's all designed to peg pDAI.
So see, that's the beauty of it as well. So as you know, all coins move as one. So when there was recently, when there was some demand for Mandala, because people really wanted to get involved in what we was calling the experiment at the time of seeing how this could be successful for pDAI, people were buying up Mandala. So it increased the price of all the tokens. They all went up at the same. And then people also, there was an increase in wanting to buy Epiphany to burn into Lucent. So that again increased the entire matrix. It all moved as one. Maybe DeFi could explain more, but I really feel that we're in a unique ecosystem to really support this kind of protocol.
Yeah. I think what we're doing with Mandala is we've created a huge meta token that can absorb a huge amount of liquidity, and because most of those LPs are burnt, it's sucking in liquidity and it's keeping it there. It's not letting it go. You can't really do that with a single coin. And because you've now got this black hole type structure distributed across 15 coins, you can load it up with liquidity just simply by pumping the price and by asking people to link into it. So it would be wonderful if all token holders link their tokens into Mandala. And so that meta token is going to leave us with enough liquidity, just naturally, just through the growth in pDAI, the liquidity in Mandala will also grow because of all these links. and that will leave us, I know I've said it so many times now, but that should leave us with enough ammunition to peg pDAI. So if pDAI falls below $1, our distributed communities will buy it up with Mandala. And if it goes above $1, they will sell it into Mandala. And there will always be enough Mandala, liquidity in Mandala to do that. That's the kind of theory.
What is it, about 80% burnt to the burn address, DeFi, of the entire matrix?
Well, the entire, there's about 90% burnt in total, and we're burning even more. So it's truly decentralized. I mean, there are some bigger holders appearing, but they're no whales or anything in the system. I hold some of it, of course, but it is decentralized, community owned, and a unique structure.
Can we just, I don't know if you're wanting to share this or not, DeFi, but at the end of the last stream, we spoke about your history a little bit, and I thought that was definitely something that was worth mentioning. I don't know if you're comfortable mentioning your history.
Yeah, no, I can do that.
Because for me, yeah, please just go ahead. Yeah.
I joined crypto in roughly 2019, but I'd been exposed to crypto for quite a while. But I was a non-believer. I thought it would be taken down. It wouldn't succeed. But then in 2019, I saw Bitcoin break through its previous all-time high, and then I realized that there's something in this, so I got involved. But prior to that, I was an investment banker, so I'm traditional finance. I worked in traditional finance on the investment banking side for many, many years, mostly in London, but also in other big cities internationally. So I've got a strong finance background, mathematically finance background. That's probably good enough, right?
Yeah, and I just think it's important for people to understand, at least to have confidence in what you're saying. I mean, the logic of what you're showing is powerful, but then the history, I mean, even though it should be trustless, there's still, I guess I'm a DeFi maxi, but I also believe in there should be a blend of the two. And so I also believe in like trustlessness, but I also believe in trust as well. I don't believe in kind of the polarity views. So also, guys, I wanted to I thought this was a great question by Steve here. So he says, I love the message of the community-driven peg, but what opportunities are there for exploitation? In other words, we are the Oracle, we are the peg. That's really cool. But is this susceptible to bad actors? So first DeFi, if you want to add to that, and then Richard, then I'll give my spin on it.
I think at the beginning, while we're building it up, it's going to be, open to abuse. And it could be pulled down, which is why we need to get the community behind it reasonably quickly. I mean, we've got a group of people that will pretty much always defend the peg. I will always defend the peg, but we could run out of money. So that we need the community behind us. But any attack on this, I've really been racking my brains to understand how you might attack this in its kind of end state. I mean, if you wanted to obtain a whole lot of MXDAI and then dump it on the community, you'd have to burn pDAI, right, to get it. And so immediately you're putting a huge cost in front of yourself. I don't know. I can't really think of any ways to pull this down once the anti-fragility kicks in. At this point, yes, you can see there's a big dip. There was a big dip earlier. In that chart, Stephen, that you're on, you can see there that was when we launched MXDAI and we lost the peg, but we regained it pretty quickly.
Well, so we lost that though, didn't we? Through people, some part of some members of the community really wanting to jump straight in and get on board with MXDAI. So there's some liquidity moving around, and we had to fix it, didn't we? So it wasn't anyone losing faith or anything. They was just literally trying to spread their money everywhere.
Yeah, I think this is because it's still small and there's not a lot of liquidity backing these things. So this is why that happens. But once you've got millions of dollars of liquidity backing it, and you've got thousands of people all monitoring and protecting the peg, I do not think there is a way to depeg it or to exploit it.
Richard, do you have anything that you want to add, or any thoughts around
hard,
this as well?
Yeah, it's hard. Unfortunately, it'd be one of those things. I guess if there is some hugely influential wallets out there that would potentially want to do harm, then it could happen in the early stages, as DeFi says, but you never know. There may be some hugely influential wallets that might give us a sign that this is a good thing, and maybe maybe burn some pDAI and add some liquidity, or just hopefully seeing, especially if people join the Telegram chat, you'll see that we are all the Matrix, and everyone's getting involved. And over the last several days, DeFi's message about the peg, because people were getting on board, and I'm sure you could appreciate a couple of people knew exactly what to do, burning and minting. Most, we had to show them the process, and they got on board. But there is a range of knowledge and abilities in this whole Atropa minting technology. But people have been getting on board now. They're helping others out. We've got people making video, like graphics, and everyone's just getting on board. And over the past week, there's been more people then ready to defend a peg. So now what we really need is time zones, people from all time zones getting into that chat. And I'm basically arcing onto what DeFi was saying. At the moment, we're small. We're like the army of the 300 at the minute against Persia. But we are standing.
Can't lose then.
Well, there you go. Well, yeah, precisely. But just knackered, man. just could do the being able to go to sleep without desperately wanting to get back on the Telegram to answer some questions. So we just I think more we grow it, quicker we grow it, the more
people that get involved, the tighter the peg will become as well.
Yeah. I think really I think we've all kind of mentioned the same thing, and this has been exactly the way that I've thought about it too. I think at the start, it's going to be very fragile. It's going to be easy to exploit, but we've already seen with Ichidai, one whale who burned 135 million pDAI, which was worth $250,000. No, $250,000. It was like 250 something thousand dollars worth of pDAI. So we're seeing benevolent whales who are getting behind the cause. But I do. This is why I say in the pDAI chat, this is going to take years, and I get banned for that. People shit on me for saying that it's going to take years. It's a matter of natural principles. It's a matter of natural order. It's very fragile at the moment. If we had MakerDAO and let's peg pDAI by tomorrow, but we've only got $11 million worth of real liquidity in the system. That's one whale who can destroy the peg in a day. Yeah, we can have the dollar value that says it's going to be $1, but it's not going to stay there for very long. And so you even look at a chart like Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin now, after 13 years or 15 years or whatever it is, now the volatility is getting reduced over time. At the start, you'd have these wild 90%, 95, 99% dips. Now those massive dips are getting lower and lower. So I look at the adoption of this occurring in the same way. I honestly think that it's still risky, the Atropa Treasury System. There's a lot of beauty to it, but we don't know what's going to happen by the end of the bull market. By the end of the bull market, people could just dump the absolute living shit out of Atropa. And if that happens, then everything that Atropa is connected to gets savaged. The whole entire Atropa Treasury System gets absolutely savaged. Therefore, Mandala Matrix gets savaged, pDAI gets savaged, all these tokens that we're connecting to get savaged. There are risks. That's why I think just naturally it's going to take years. If I'm like, it's just logical. If you're trying to build a forest in the middle of the desert and you plant something, you plant all these plants there, and then after like 6 months you go and stomp on it, then the forest is going to die. But if you do it over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. You stomp on a little bit, but there's still tons of other forest that's gonna
Sure.
stabilize the ecosystem.
Hey Steve, you said there you got banned for saying about or not pegging tomorrow. Perhaps this is what these minters are showing with confidence, with just enough people. We could hopefully could probably say if this continues over the next month, we can say, look, we've pegged it. It doesn't mean it's $1. It means it's pegged to another asset. And if we can do that, then we can then get it to $1 by buying it, or maybe other mechanisms. It's not that. It's about keeping it at $1. So I think this approach, I mean, we could hopefully get it a little bit more automated if people maybe with some kind of maybe V3 buy sell walls people could put up just to buy it when it's at a certain price. And if everyone does that, it might even be that when the time comes, that might pop up on PulseX. It might be for this kind of reason that we might get V3 on PulseX to do this, to be the Oracle.
I think different people are going to have different perceptions of confidence in the peg, right? So some people might look at this after a month and say, wow, it's pegged, I'm going to burn my pDAI, right? Other people are going to say after 3 months, wow, it's pegged, I'm going to burn my pDAI. So it's just a matter of understanding where that sort of confidence inflection point sits. If a big whale can look at this and see, I'm confident that these guys can keep this pegged, and swapping or burning my pDAI for MXDAI is going to leave me with no US dollar loss, then it could happen fast. But in principle, Stephen, you're 100% correct. This is organic, right? This is just how we get community and people involved in doing a process that requires the addition of more people. But it could still happen quickly if there are enough people with pDAI, with a significant amount of pDAI, who are confident that this peg process is going to hold. They could burn their pDAI. They could, and it could happen fast. So I think there are a number of outcomes. It's not necessarily the case that it could take years. It could be a lot shorter, but I don't think it's a month. Definitely not.
Yeah, I just think for it to, I guess the way that I'm reading the market and the way that I'm reading the sentiment, I see a lot of greed, man. I see a lot of greed, and I see a lot of people who say they're about the cause, but are not really about the cause. They want to buy just stuff that, you take out $1 million to go and buy a mansion. That's what, 5% of the liquidity. That's really damaging. And there's going to be, you only just need like half a dozen people like this, and I can guarantee there's more than half a dozen people like this. So that's why it's like, yes, I believe in the peg, but I want it to happen organically and over time. And even what you said, Richard, about the bots, people, I heard somebody commenting about this. Well, what if somebody just comes along and creates a bot? That's effing fantastic. If somebody could come along, create a bot that automates this process, that every time the price gets up to here, it's going to swap one token for the other. Every time the price gets here, it's going to swap one token for the other. That's how they're going to make their profit. They're going to be running this bot 24/7. That's going to stabilize the peg. But the way that you can profit off that is just by providing liquidity. Somebody else is doing the work, and you're just getting volume in your liquidity pool. Like, this is the underrated value of liquidity. If you burn one token for the other, they're worth exactly the same. And then you're just generating yield on that. And you can just live off the yield. This is really the most underrated fact about this. Everyone's still too much looking like this token here, and I want it to get to $1 tomorrow, then I'm going to make a 10,000x. They're not looking at the liquidity and the long-term value proposition of this entire system, I feel.
Stephen, can I ask you to pull up a website, mandala.io, and go to...
Oh, nice.
Because we've put these pairs, these effect and loosen pairs, and we can see what the return on them is. So, and then /portfolio.
The DAI coin will be added very soon.
It's in.
Oh, awesome! The DAI, excellent. Wow.
So you just hover over portfolio. There's a drop down there, and then hit pools, and then just search in the search bar for, say, Lucent or effect, one of the two. So you can see Lucent PLS is paying 40%. So there we go.
Man, that's exceptional.
Yeah,
That's exceptional.
yeah. So we can measure. We can measure the returns you're getting by investing in these LPs.
Hey, DeFi, look, I'm there as well at Lucent Epiphany, the parent-child, you're earning that. And if you believe, you know, they are one-to-one, that's almost like single-sided staking, isn't it? You could literally just burn half your supply into the other, add liquidity, walk away. We need people like that to add the liquidity. We need people to be actively on the front lines defending the peg. We need everyone, and then everyone can work in different ways. I know I will be burnt out if I'm there defending the peg 24 hours. So in time, if there's some automated process that comes along, all the better, because then you can go, here's my ammunition to defend, and it can be it can run a lot more smoother. We've even got a member of the community in the Telegram group who's creating a piece of software just to inform us, a little bit like the Treasury System win with the Atropa coins, when it'll be green light when there's like mint profitability, and another light when it just show you which way to either sell the parent for the child or sell the child back for the parent and then burn as well, which is brilliant, because again, this was only new on me a number of weeks ago, and I dedicated a lot of time to sort of get to grips with the whole burning and minting and selling back more tokens. So our community are desperately trying to get up to speed with it, but we got members of the community already stepping up, making things to make it easier. As DeFi, this website was only updated again the other day, wasn't it? So things are happening.
I mean, look how fantastic this website is, and all I see here is opportunity. It's such an underrated ecosystem, and the risk is so minimal because like 90% of the tokens are burnt. That's 90% of the sell pressure that's deleted. It's gone. So there's no big whales that can dump on you. It's such an underrated system. It's so underrated.
Plus, we're burning it through Lucent and Epiphany, right? So that's
there you go.
Burn,
Well, so do you want to give some stats on that, DeFi? What we've burnt so far in about 8 days?
We've burned nearly 3% of the Epiphany supply in literally 10 days, and we've burnt 6 million Mandala tokens. I don't know what that is as a percentage.
0.6. It's about 0.6 of the flagship token in the Matrix ecosystem.
And it's amazing. I check every few hours, and there are people burning it literally every few hours. So. Yeah, but you're right, Stephen. I mean, you can get 49% of Mandala PLS liquidity pair, which is basically IL free, right? So this website is meant to give you a window into the matrix. It's the matrix telling us where it's hurting, and the biggest APRs are where it's hurting. And so you would put your money into the biggest APRs to make the matrix more efficient. But again, if you scroll up, Steve, we can give you a little bit more insight to see the top of that. I can't see it. No, the top. Yeah. So you see where the portfolio is? There's a little toggle there next to portfolio.
Yep, this one.
Yeah. Okay, that's not the one. So portfolio, sorry, in the middle at the top, portfolio.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah, and then overview. This dashboard's not complete, but it gives you, some insights. So $32,000 daily volume in the matrix right now, and $14.7 million in TVL. It's a decent size. But that, of course, that TVL includes matrix coins. It doesn't, it's not all with PLS or PLSX. That's the internal TVL as well. So, it's a big number, but it's not liquidity, as it were. The 80.37, that's just the internal tokens, and it doesn't include the tax coins, which is why it's less than 90%. So there's some work to do on that. But
on this as well,
that's 31. No, on the 80.37, that's only the core coins and only the internal pools. It doesn't include the external burns, and it doesn't include the tax burns. So there's work to do on this whole dashboard to get it up and running. But I wanted to show you the $32 million worth of volume that's going through the matrix every single day.
So
32,000.
that is that's another aspect. Sorry, DeFi. It's just such a lovely thing to see with that, and how it's been picking up with the interest of what we've been doing. That just means everybody's impermanent loss. I used to call it impermanent loss resistant. I am absolutely confident to say it is a non-issue. You will not get impermanent loss if you pair two matrix coins together and put them in liquidity. And where we've seen that go up, that just means everybody's yield is going up.
And here's the thing. This number is obviously, as it gets adopted more and more over time, is only going to go up. But because this ecosystem is also actively contributing to peg pDAI, then as the stability of pDAI goes up and down, it's triggering volume throughout the whole entire system, because people are contributing to stabilizing the peg here. And then so it's creating ripples throughout Mandala, which is cascading down through the whole entire ecosystem. It's extremely underrated.
But the other aspect here is, because all these LPs are burnt, a proportion of that volume is getting locked away and is never going to come out again ever. So it's locking away that liquidity for use forever, right?
It's another form of deflation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's deflation.
Exactly.
So if you scroll down, Stephen, sorry to direct you.
That's okay.
It says their core tokens burnt. So this is just through the deflation. We burnt, it's not that much, 31,000 tokens in the last day, just through volume-based burns. It's not very big. I mean, compared to what we're burning with the V3 burns, but it's
sure. But it is every day. It is every day, though, isn't it? And it will build up.
Yep, and it will be compounding over time.
Yes, exactly.
So I mean, anyone that wants to, in supporting you by just buying any matrix coin, you're going to make all the coins go up, including Mandala, which is soft peg liquidity bonded to our MXDAI, which help us maintain the peg, or even give us that opportunity to get it higher, so people can buy it, sell it back for pDAI, to burn and buy more, to put more pressure on the buy and burn of pDAI. It all works. It all works unique. The unique ecosystem works in such harmony to make this
beautiful.
Yeah, to make this happen. Brilliant.
And just with this question from Grandpa Pulse, actually first I want to highlight this comment because I think it's extremely wise. Grandpa Pulse is an extremely wise man. So if you put in a water catch system with water storage, you would be surprised how quick the desert can grow, which you could really consider what we're doing here with the Mandala Matrix. That's exactly what you're doing. And then he comments here, he says, it's pegged, so where can I put it and earn yield? So this is what's so beautiful about it. You could put it in, again, what did we have? So mDAI is just wanting MXDAI and DAI. So MXDAI and DAI, this is where you can earn your yield, depending on how much liquidity enters into the MXDAI system. So at the moment, there's 11,000, so 11,000 or nearly 12,000 liquidity. So that screams of opportunity. So there's
even, you can go back to the portfolio tracker and just search for MXDAI, and let's see what it's paying right now.
Okay, so pools, and then MXDAI.
There we go, 43%. There we go. It's pretty good.
That's with Pulse Chain, and then with pDAI, it's still 13% a day, 13% APR on $1. If it maintains this kind of a number, that's pretty significant. That's extremely significant on something conceivably that stays at $1. And this also really, I've also contemplated the possibility that pDAI doesn't stay at $1 and somehow it goes beyond the $1, and it somehow, the way that it's designed, it as a function of its design, it matches with and outpaces the inflation of the actual US dollar the actual US dollar. Wouldn't that be effing amazing?
Yeah. The problem is the Mandala community is not going to let it go beyond $1, Stephen.
I know. This is where it's going to be. This is where it's going to be interesting for this kind of a concept. But
unless the Mandala community decide to put that on hold for a period of time to get it up to $2.
Well, exactly.
We won't be able to, because it'll be so distributed. There'll be no centralized coordination at that point, right? It'll just be impossible.
Indeed.
True. But there you go. I mean, this
But
is
that's
a great
the beauty in
website.
decentralization, though, isn't it?
But
So
everything
that's
just
where you
screams
earn
opportunity.
your yield all over the place, right? I mean, you can put it anywhere in the matrix. You compare. I mean, if you put pDAI, just search for pDAI in there, please, Stephen, where it says MXDAI, just put pDAI in there. You can see Mandala pDAI is, if you just want to, it's paying 13%. You can put Atropa in and see what Atropa is paying. Atropa is paying 11.4%.
Nice.
555, baby.
There we go.
It's a sign.
Wow. Yeah, I think, you know, and I think for a lot of, I really do feel that this conception of decentralized finance is going to become more and more mainstream. I think people are going to become disillusioned over time with chasing meme coins. Nothing wrong with chasing meme coins, but your 10,000x meme coins, I mean, we got spoiled. As I'm an OG Hexagon, and we got spoiled, like, to get what we got within the amount of time that we did. It's an anomaly. It's not a normal thing in crypto, but we treated it like it's the norm, and now we're waiting and expecting, you know, Pulse Chain's going to do a 10,000x and INC is going to do a 10,000x. We have all these completely unrealistic expectations now based on the past, based on what I have in my mind. So I just think this idea of providing liquidity and earning stable yield over time is going to be it's kind of boring. It's not your wild, crazy dopamine hit, but do we really want to be sitting on Twitter all day and analyzing and who's got the next home run meme coin? I don't. Once you establish your millions, I want to be out of that game. I want to be focusing on things that actually mean something to my life and something to the world. I don't want to be chasing a 10,000x. I mean, if I can get a 10,000x, that's great. But I just think people are going to become disillusioned at how rare it is to get a 10,000x and how difficult it's going to become more and more over time. Because even, say, 8 years ago in the crypto market, you could have just thrown a dart at a dartboard with any tokens that existed in cryptocurrency, and you would have got big returns because the pool wasn't that much. Now there's like tens of thousands of tokens. There's like hundreds of tokens that get released every single day. The opportunity is getting rarer and rarer. So I would love for this concept of just putting the money here, and then, like, this is what people do in the financial system. They just, in the traditional financial system, they're not looking for 10,000 X's. They're looking for somewhere to park their money to get a stable return on their yield. And so I think Pulse Chain, more than any other blockchain on the planet, provides this kind of opportunity. And you mentioned something before as well, Richard, about this being like, it's like V1, like V3 liquidity. And I think that that's a very key point. There was a lot of criticism about no single-sided liquidity, and then whole communities formed around the idea that, Richard's a noob, he didn't do any single-sided liquidity. I think it's very deliberate. I think Richard really, really knows the benefits of V2 versus V3, and it was very deliberately done in this way. And I think this is probably one of the reasons why getting your yield like this, it far outweighs V3 liquidity, in my opinion.
Compounding is the eighth one of the world, right?
Exactly.
It's the only real way to build generational wealth. I mean, even those 10,000 X's, most people lost money. Even if a 10,000 X was put in front of someone, they would probably still lose money. So, capturing that sort of thing is exceptionally difficult. Building long-term LP positions and compounding your yield will almost guarantee that you will make generational wealth. I mean, provided the bottom doesn't blow out a Pulse Chain. But I'm assuming that isn't going to happen, right?
Absolutely. All right, I want to just see if we got any other questions, because we've had some really, really good questions here. So again, the debate about it taking years, I can see it pegging a lot sooner. I think wider market will take a year to accept it. The smarter ones will get in early. Yes, see, Mark, I guess the foundation of my thesis is that it can get to $1. pDAI can get to $1, but having it stay there is a completely different idea. And I tried to use the example of Hex the other day, where Hex got to 56 cents. That's all good and well, but it didn't stay there for very long, because all it takes is just a few whales to dump the absolute crap out of it. And it will be exactly the same with pDAI. But the beauty of the system that's set up here is if we can really establish this kind of a network of burning and minting across different kinds of tokens, that this is one example that's showing how to do it. But we don't know how many people are doing this also with their own personal minters. They might have created their own minters where they've set up their own ecosystems and their own liquidity pools that they're keeping to themselves. This is the real beauty of this whole entire system. So when you have events like this, you would look at events like this as what a blessing. You wouldn't look at it like, oh, geez, pDAI's dropped 99%. You'd be like, F yeah, pDAI's dropped 99%. Now I can scoop the absolute crap out of it. Like, what a... I don't know, like the way that pDAI dumped the last 2 months or whatever it was what a blessing. If you picked up those bottoms, what a blessing. And if it ends up going to $1, like, you couldn't get any more blessed than that. So I just think this whole Atropa Treasury System and the minting and the burning turns the whole narrative around. So yes, I think it's possible to get there, but for it to stay there in a very strong way, because even though there'll be people buying and selling, and I just think that there's still the fragility of how much real liquidity is in there. That's always going to be the problem. So again, I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to see this peg and stay there within a month, and then all the strong whales support it and it stays at $1 for a year. But when you have people talking about, oh, I want to buy a house for my mum and I want to get I want them to not worry about this. I'm just thinking, like, your mum's fine, bro. Your mum's been living fine for the last 60, 70 years. She doesn't need a new house. The house she's got now is fine. Don't waste the liquidity on stuff like this. But people are going to do it anyway. And no offense to the people who maybe it is going to offend people, but like, people are fine, man. We think we need to take care of our families, but they've done just fine up until now. Like, use it for something good. Use it for something that's going to create value to the world, not just create something.
Please, I'm not your father, Stephen.
Honestly, man, I'm not really giving anything. I don't plan on giving much to my family at all. As a matter of principle, I just think that they're fine. I love my family. Anything that I owe my family, I'll pay them back, and I would help them if they're like struggling with something. But my brothers have got mortgages. I'm not helping them pay for their mortgage. I've told them all about crypto. They've had the opportunity to do it for themselves. I don't intend on helping them with that. And it's not that I don't love them. It's just that the money could be used for so much better than just this little thing that's really going to impact no one. I mean, their life is fine. It's not going to change their life radically.
Sure, man. For me, I mean, if your portfolio gets to that dream number, all I want to be able to do is, through things like the Matrix and other yield-bearing assets, just to be able to pull my wages every month so I don't have to work. So my time will be mine. And then, to be honest with you, I was even thinking I'd even create a charity where I can pay myself to do what I do as a job, but on my terms, for free to people. I'm a maths teacher. So if I could get out of the system, which I don't like, but to still do and reach the people that I love to do, then I think that I'll be doing something good for myself and for others. And it's just the notion. I don't want to pull it all out. I just want it to make me able to do something better with my life. I don't want to buy a new car. my old car's just fine, but can't buy time, can you? So
no, and I think what you've just mentioned there is really, there's something really powerful to that, but it's also like, the idea of just, people have to find it out for themselves, but the idea of retiring, like there's statistics where people make it in their 30s, they retire, and then they just they become depressed. They lose the meaning. Like, sitting on a beach all day sounds great when you're working a 9-to-5 job that you don't like. But then once you achieve that, it's like, well, this sucks. Like, the beach is the same every day. There's nothing, I'm achieving nothing in life. I'm just rotting away. and the hours are ticking by. So the idea of creating some kind of value in the world, I think, is very important for this system to continue to proliferate, because the value that you create in the world, that then you can then return back into the system. And then there's a feedback loop. Instead of it just like, okay, we've created this decentralized financial system, and now I'm going to take out of it, live the life that I want, and then not give anything back. Then it's negative. And then eventually this pool just gets squished and disappears. Whereas if it's like a feedback loop of, okay, I've got this value, I'm going to put that value into the world, then I'm going to return that value back. There's like a feedback loop, and if enough people are doing that, the whole system grows. It doesn't diminish as what we've seen with Hex, and that, I think, is a really important message to, like, yes, have that freedom, have that time, live the dream that you want. And living the dream that you want is giving back to the world. It's not like just, I mean, I've gotten to a point in my life where like holidays honestly don't even interest me. Every day is a holiday in my mind. And my friends are always talking about holidays. And I'm just like, I don't really care. What's the difference? Like this place of the world or that place of the world, it's all the same, man. When your mind is free, everything is just amazing. It's like life itself is the game now. Like how much value can I give to the world? What kind of impact can I have on other people's lives? But I guess that's just my mindset.
I think that's what we all want to achieve, to be honest. And this is why I enjoy our community, the TG community. You know, everyone's very respectful. Everyone in their own way is contributing to this peg. Everyone's feeling benevolent, you know, and everyone is also getting rewarded a little bit by taking on these arbs. But I feel like we're growing, you know, we building something for the future that all of us can kind of live and be proud of and put into and take out of. And I think when you build something like that, you don't want to destroy it, right? You want to make it last. You want to make it work for you and for other people, and you want to leave a legacy behind that, you know, other people can enjoy. And that's the feeling I get when I'm in this TG. I feel that, you know, we're building for the future. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's really, you know, because I talk about meditation, people say I'm spiritual, and I kind of like, I wouldn't say that I resent it, but I don't like attaching labels to this being. But there is a spiritual dimension to that. This spiritual dimension of like protecting something that you've created, and this idea of like servitude and giving back to the world and that feedback loop. There is a spiritual dimension to that, which it attracts more of that into itself. So that's something that is completely unique to Pulse Chain, in my opinion. There's nothing. Do you think they're talking about this stuff on Arbitrum, on Solana? Solana's got nothing like this on there.
Yeah, no.
Nothing even close. So there is this spiritual dimension to it, which is really, really beautiful and powerful.
Very true, man. Very true. And at the end of the day, it's not about how much you got to keep. It's how much did you give. So.
Oh, man. Exactly. You know, one of my favorite quotes is from Alexander the Great. First human being on the planet to conquer the world. And when he died at the age of 33, he said, bury my body with my hands out so the world can see that the man who conquered the world died with nothing. You enter the world with nothing, and you leave the world with nothing.
Indeed. I could do that with my wallet right now, actually. But not for much longer. Not for much longer. We have faith. So did we want to recommend DeFi people to the Telegram? Should we put that in the chat?
Absolutely.
I'll throw it in there now then.
Yeah, put it in the chat, and I'll also put it in the description, the link in the description as well. It's not in the description at the minute, but for the people that are watching live, but I'll put it in there afterwards. So chuck that in there, and I just want to read this because I really do love.
I just wanted to make one sort of final point. I don't want to pull us back into the detail, but with these V3 minters, the important thing is that you have the peg, right? Because you can burn. And I'm not sure about that guy who burnt 100 million pDAI, but has he got 100 million worth of value on the other side, or have they lost? Has XUSD maintained or lost the peg? I don't know the answer to that. But if you lose the peg, you basically lost the battle. So you've got to combine the peg with the V3 minter to extract the value. If you lose the peg, you've lost the battle, and that's all we kind of focused on at Mandala, is to keep these pegs going.
Yeah, that's something that I've been trying to explore on my videos, I suppose, with that particular whale, to show that it's not necessarily just about doing that and then pairing the two tokens together. There's a little bit more to it than that. So yes, I think you're definitely right there. And the V4s are a little bit different because the peg is more of an upward. What's that?
I said you have to burn more, so you don't get 1-to-1 on the V4. I think is that the
correct?
Issue with it? Yeah,
correct. But you're also already from, because I've got that chart there already from, I mean, he would have burnt those tokens up here, right? He would have swapped those tokens here. As the price went up to here, he could have sold probably, I don't know, let's say, I don't know what the numbers would be, but 25% of his Ichidai to reclaim back his original pDAI. But obviously,
is there liquidity for that with Ichidai?
Oh, there's heaps. So he basically burnt the pDAI for Ichidai and then set up a liquidity pool for it. So then this is why the liquidity jumped up to over 100K. And then I've seen that they've changed their actions. I'm imagining they're watching my videos. So it went from a big pDAI and Ichidai pool to now basically like 50% of that is pDAI and Ichidai, and the other 50% is PulseX and Ichidai, which I thought, okay, that's a good start. That's a good move. One of the things that what's that? Sorry,
Stephen, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's the deflationary aspect of PulseX, which should drag it up. I think that's
correct.
I think that's their thinking there, right? Yeah.
Correct, which is a good move. And this was another thing which occurred to me the other day. I saw somebody comment on this in here. Let me just bring up this comment. Who was it that said this? Here we go. Pulse Punk. Make Ichidai, DARPA, Strawberry Shortcake, etc. as the top holders of their parent coins. That'll get attention. So, there's a lot of wisdom to this, because the other thing that occurred to me the other day is, so a Strawberry Shortcake is I don't know if DARPA is. I think DARPA's a teddy bear burner, and Strawberry Shortcake is an Atropa burner. So if you put these tokens like Atropa as the top pool, like an Atropa child, or even Atropa itself as a top pool of some of these tokens, they are now deflationary because of this Atropa Treasury System. So then they become deflationary, and if they're the top pool, then it just, the drag effect that it has to incentivize the burning and the minting is very, very powerful. And I think this is something that really clicked in my mind the other day as well, just the possibilities that we can do. And I think, you guys really don't get enough credit. The fact that you're actually showing how to do it. This is what I love. We can theorize about these things as much as we want, but you guys are now showing how we can actually do it. And the ecosystem is very small. It's a very humble ecosystem. There's a few hundred in the chat in your Telegram. Did you share the Telegram, by the way?
Yes, it's out there, Stevie, yeah.
I can't see it. Maybe
it's
in there, buddy. I'm sure it's in there.
T.me. I'll do it quickly.
Done it again.
Maybe it's not going to let you show it in the chat because it's like a link or something. But I'll put it in the description.
Okay. Yeah, put it in the description.
Put it in the private chat. See if you want.
Oh, you put it in the private chat. So let me see if I can actually put it in there, because it's a very humble little ecosystem. But that's what makes it so good too, because it's very young and it has potential. And if you're getting in on something that's new and you're providing liquidity on something that's new,
well, Steve, let me tell you, when I've been as part of the community, as soon as I heard about the Matrix from your stream you did, maybe 6-7 weeks ago, maybe a bit longer, I was probably about the 50th member in the group chat. And it's when I had the idea about the minter, and I was like, I'm just going to do Mandala. And I was like, you know what, I want to get I know it's DeFi, I can do it myself, but I want to get blessing from the founder. So I spoke to DeFi, and I spoke to him once about it, and that was that. We've probably spoken every day since, and it's all really taken off. But where suddenly we're looking at this experiment, we're saying this could peg pDAI, so we're getting some attention for pDAI. A common thing people are saying when they're getting in here, they're going, how the hell do I not know about this? This is amazing ecosystem. And so it's growing. So we've got some eyes on us now, maybe from that and what we're doing, but maybe, you know, they're coming here for the news about the pDAI thing, maybe even to engage in it, but they're staying for the ecosystem because they're seeing the beauty in it.
Beautiful. And actually on that, what kind of questions have you guys seen a lot of and answered a lot of that you might get? It might be worth addressing those questions here as well, where people can really hear them now up front. Do you get a lot of the same kinds of questions?
Yeah, well, I'll jump in with one quickly. I'm sure DeFi probably got a couple as well. But there's one thing is that the ARB, because firstly we're saying ARB. I don't even know if it's the real term. Got it from you, Stephen. You're saying it's arbitrage opportunity. You know, you got these ARB bots, but it's actually getting people to say, look, play both sides of the game. Buy it, burn it, mint it, sell it. It's about getting those tokens up. So if it makes sense to buy it, get your token up. And in that way, by doing that action, you're maintaining the peg. And in fact, if it was down here and you're buying more tokens, you've now got more tokens and the price has gone back up a bit. You're actually, you know, you're doing yourself a favor as well. But it's getting the concept. That would be the first question people come in. And what is good is some of the people that just 2, 3, 4 days ago we had phone calls with on the Telegram. We've been phoning people and doing voice chats to really try and explain it. Now they're in the chat explaining it to the people that may have only joined yesterday. So it's a question. It's great to see people learning and taking it on board, but it's one of the main things people need to wrap their heads around when they first come in is, how do I do this? Can I arb back? You know, what's going on? What you know, I've done it. I've minted some effects. I've minted some Lucent. It's in the last few days. Now what type thing? So it's just about getting them on board and really starting to give them the shield and the spear, and they're part of the 300. You know that they're going to defend the.
I love that.
But you don't have to do the ARB and the mint and the burn to be part of it and to contribute. And I think this is, you can just hold a Mandala token, right? Or you could just supply some LP, or there's so much you can do. I think a lot of people have got scared away by their own, you know, I don't know how to ARB, or I don't know how to mint, but you don't really. I mean, we need enough people to do that, but not everyone has to do that.
True.
And I think that's the other benefit.
You know what, as well, I mean, it is, I know it is. It's with pDAI and people with their bags, some may be cautious. If they want pDAI to peg, they want what we're doing to be successful, they don't even necessarily need to burn. They could buy some matrix DAI and pair it with PLS to help other people get in and get out and get the ARBs going. They could just provide liquidity. They could do one initial burn and then provide liquidity. There's anything there's lots of things they can do. Anything they do will help. You know, so not everyone will be looking to do the ARB every day. Some people, I'd like to get to the point where you can put the screen down for a couple of days, and I'm not worrying because my liquidity is working for me, my liquidity position. So yes, it's not even, you don't have to burn your pDAI to help us with this. You could just be providing liquidity in and out of the matrix cycle.
Brilliant. And so what other kinds of questions have you guys been seeing a lot of?
I mean, you know, what are you trying to achieve? What are your objectives? How does this all fit together?
There has been as questions like you had. I saw that what we answered about the exploitations. That's obviously been brought up because it's going to be on people's minds. And maybe there is, but we're generally thinking we can't see issues.
My view is the most important thing is to keep the peg, and then perhaps the second most important thing is to provide distributed liquidity across these mechanisms as well as to the matrix. Keeping the peg is paramount. If we lose the peg, we're going to lose everything. So if people, you know, want to understand what our objectives are, that's primarily what we are looking to do. And when we have enough people supporting the peg, you know, then we can think about, you know, expanding into other things. But yeah, I mean,
everyone's can help in different ways, can't they? DeFi, you know, as soon as we've got another 10 people that are defending the peg, that just means we need to have less. Everyone can just clip in a smaller amount, because who knows? We've all got different portfolio sizes and have different financial means. But that got raised in the Telegram. Actually, someone said, "Oh, I've added mine. Oh, it's a very little amount type thing." I was like, "No, that's everything. It's not about how much you've put in. It's the fact that you've put in and you are behind it. We've all got different bank balances, but together we're all the matrix. We are the Oracle, and it's that belief, being in the community, being a positive aspect to it is brilliant. That's just as valuable as someone with a bigger amount. Don't get me wrong; it'd be great to have some larger, people come in and help us get this larger liquidity and maintain the peg. But it's the people stepping up to the plate, regardless of their financial, how much they can offer. The fact that they are, and more every day is brilliant. And
those are the people that I want to help the most. I want to help everyone, but the people who are already whales, the whales, under the existing conditions, we're the shrimp. They're eating us. They're throwing us around into different tokens, and they're creating a token, and look at this thing, it's so great. And then we all go in there and they just scoop us up and then steal the liquidity. And then they just keep getting richer and we just keep getting poorer. We're not really making any advancements. So, this is one of the main reasons why I've stood my ground on this position that it could take years, because as we exit the bull market, I absolutely guarantee you, one of the narratives is we're going to peg pDAI to $1 by the end of the bull market. And guess what? Everybody who doesn't have a lot of money is going to be expecting and praying that we're going to get to $1, and that's when they're going to make their millions. But the whales, they're going to be relying on that type of messaging, and they're just going to sell the shit out of it. And then everybody who needed the leg up is going to go straight back to round tripping a bag down 90%, while the whales just got richer. And so I'm really trying to push that messaging from a good place. Like, I don't want those people to suffer that, because I can tell you now, round tripping my hex bags was one of the most painful experiences of my life. One of the most painful experiences. And so I really don't want to see that for people. So I'm trying to give a dose of reality, but people don't want the reality. They just want the dopamine.
Yeah, man. Well, I suppose, and it's not going to be the case to all of them, but a lot of those whales are whales for a reason, aren't they? And it's not from maybe benevolent actions or
exactly.
This or the other. Yeah.
Exactly. But the idea as well on that, I think what really is going to make this bear market extremely interesting for Pulse Chain. You've mentioned this a few times, DeFi, the distributed liquidity. That's really going to make things very, very interesting. What's going to happen because of the way that Maria has set up the liquidity pools between Atropa and Down, for example, and the liquidity pools where this token going down makes it a great swap for this token, and then you have a whole network of tokens like this. It's going to make the bear market very interesting. But I don't want to give hopium and say, we're not going to have a bear market and everything's going to stay up. But I do believe that there's going to be more opportunities presented on Pulse Chain during the bear market than any other blockchain on the planet, because every other blockchain on the planet, when it's the bear market, just everything goes down. Whereas at least here, everything's going to go down, but at least you're going to have something going down against something else where you can then position yourself in a way that's going to put you in a place of power when you can swap back into when the ratios go opposite. And I just think that just makes things very interesting, that distributed liquidity and how it's spread across the whole network.
I mean, part of the objective that I originally had when setting up the matrix was to provide a mechanism that would earn you yield so that you would be able to hold your positions through the bear market. Now, obviously, the matrix, the price is going to go up and down and will also suffer during the bear market. But if you are clever enough, and we have a saying, don't go chasing waterfalls. If you don't chase green candles and you start accumulating yield-bearing assets, you take some of that yield out, you invest it in a stable coin-bearing asset, and you structure your portfolio cleverly and with a view to long-term growth, don't chase those meme coins, then you can hold through a bear market and live off your yield. And that really is what everyone should be aiming for. And obviously, a lot more people will be able to get, or more people will be able to get more into stablecoin yield and protect themselves. But you can hold some of these tokens all the way through and still live off the yield. You can still do that. And that's really what I was originally looking to achieve with the Matrix, was to provide a yield-bearing opportunity that would allow people to build up a long-term passive income portfolio that they could just hold forever. I don't know if I'll survive another round trip.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can really. I mean, this is where people become disillusioned with cryptocurrency. So that's why also, like, you know, I really want to protect the little people. I really want them to, I want people to learn from my mistakes. But yeah, again, it's not the popular message, because it's not the pDAI is going to peg to $1 tomorrow message of hopium, and, you know, Richard's going to peg it for us, all this bullshit. It's not the thing that people want to hear, and it gets you a lot of animosity. I get a lot of I've been banned from pDAI chat now twice in the last few days. I'm like, how did I get banned again? Like, I didn't abuse anyone. I'm literally just telling you guys what my perspective of the facts are. And, you know, if I end up being right, it's like a bittersweet thing, because it's like, well, I was right, but nobody listened, so who really cares? You know, it's
But I think your underlying message, Stephen, if you really boil it down, is don't go chasing green candles, right? What you are effectively saying is accumulate into safe, passive income earning LPs or some structure that's going to earn you yield over time, and just build in one place. Boring as hell, but just build, accumulate, and compound. That's, I think, what you're saying. And then maybe be a little bit savvy, you know, around the top of the market, take some out, put it in stable coins, if you can identify that. But even round tripping that type of portfolio, I don't think is going to hurt you that much.
No.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think that's a very underrated thing as well, DeFi. That, again, another idea about providing liquidity is bear markets, and the volatility of a bear market is phenomenal. Your liquidity pool is just stacking up. Yeah. And if you have a long-term outlook that you want this to be something that you can live from, then if you're not intending at the end of this bull market to go, all right, I want to sell everything and just get out of crypto. If you want to exist in crypto forever, the more tokens that are in that liquidity pool, the prices will go up again. But you've cleaned up in tokens in that liquidity pool through a bear market. It's extremely underrated. The dollar value might be going down, but your token count is going way up. That's a beautiful thing.
In traditional finance, if you have a portfolio, say, of stocks or shares, and I know we're not really allowed to talk about that now, and you're earning a dividend on those, and you can live off that dividend, then you can live forever, because even in a bear market, companies don't reduce their dividend. They still pay the same dividend. And that's really what we're looking to achieve in the crypto space, to achieve a dividend or a yield that is pretty much constant over time and big enough for you to live off. And therefore, you don't have to worry about the capital value of your underlying investment. All you have to worry about is building the LP return. And if you can get that big enough, then you can just hold forever. You don't have to worry about bear markets or tops or cycles. So that's really what we're looking to achieve. Yeah, I mean, stack, earn yield, and live off the yield.
So on that, I'll put the link in the description as well. So we've got the Telegram there. I'll put your YouTube link in the description as well. You guys have done great YouTube videos. So mine are often quite long. You guys have got very short, some that are less than 5 minutes of what you can do. So I would recommend going to check out that video, the YouTube channel and all the videos. But if you could summarize, I feel like we have summarized a lot, but if you guys could summarize in just a few minutes, what kind of contribution? So based on what Steve is asking here, so he's saying, I imagine I'll learn a lot in the Telegram, but can you summarize what actions someone can take theoretically speaking to support this cause while improving their position?
DeFi, do you want to go for that one?
I mean, I think it depends on your want to partake in the actual arb side of things. Let's assume you want to do that, then I would, and let's assume you have pDAI, then I would come in and I would burn my pDAI for MXDAI, and I would look to add to the LP pool, and then I would look to stabilize the MXDAI pDAI peg. So that's what I would do if I had pDAI. If I didn't have pDAI and I just wanted to invest some money, then I would look to put it in the matrix. So I'd go to the portfolio, the liquidity tracker that we had up earlier. I'd look for the biggest APRs and I put my money in there.
Sure. Yeah. Also, if you're wanting to engage in this new technology, the minting and all that, but still you might still a little bit apprehensive about your pDAI, you can test it out. You could buy yourself a bag of Mandala. You could maybe burn half of it and then put both of those into liquidity together. What you saw actually that the Lucent Epiphany, you could do the same. You could buy Epiphany. You could burn, say, half of that and put that into liquidity, paying about 50% APR, I think we saw on there at the present time because of the need for it. Bear in mind, remember that by buying either Mandala or Epiphany, you're dragging the matrix up, which will drag the MXDAI up, so you're supporting that there. Really, it's one of those things. Anything you do within the matrix is good for all of the matrix, and MXDAI is matrix DAI. So what's good for the matrix is good for the matrix, and that is part of the matrix now. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunity.
Actually, the other thing you could do is just come into the Telegram and ask questions.
I was just going to say, come in and like one of our phenomenal users, you may not know, but if you look at the pictures in my very basic thumbnails, they are actually photos of an artist who makes mandalas on big canvases, and he takes photos of them. They're real, man. They are real art.
What's his name? He does brilliant work. That's David, isn't it? Or
I know him as D. D is his username in there, but phenomenal.
He's
absolutely phenomenal.
Beautiful artwork, man. Phenomenal.
Without doubt. So that's a huge help. I'm not sure about this other picture I've got behind me, but just it was only 8 days ago or whenever I knew that we needed to get the message out. So I downloaded StreamYard for the free version, and DeFi I was going to basically just be a platform he could just get this info out, and I couldn't put my camera off as the host. It's like, oh my god, I'd never ever contemplated showing my face on screen a week ago. I went, right, it's too important, I'm going to do it. And then suddenly we had this artwork to do it, and before you know, you go, you know what, I think we might have a YouTube channel within a space of a couple of days. And I think it's really, 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 in my mind, it's amazing because I get to basically learn about the matrix by asking DeFi all the questions, and he gets to put all the juice in, and I just get to press record and press stop. It's fantastic. But all of that is, again, it's the community that's doing it. I really will stress that, when you said that right at the start, what the matrix team have been doing, there is no team. Everyone, or let's say everyone is the team. Everyone's on board, and they really are stepping up to the plate. It's fantastic, and I really, this is a call for arms. Please, brothers, sisters, get over to the Telegram and come and say hi.
So there's
that could be enough. You want to help, you can say hello.
DeFi, what were you going to say?
No, I was just finishing Richard's sentence when he said, come over to the Telegram, and I was finishing by saying, come over to the Telegram and help peg pDAI to $1.
There you go. Indeed. Yeah. And there's lots of different ways of doing that. But yeah, get on over and we'll
so really there's like three three things you could do with the Mandala ecosystem. One, you could just buy the tokens within the Mandala ecosystem. Two, you could buy them and pair them together in liquidity because it's a cascading system. So as you go down the cascade, providing liquidity for token 1 to token 2, token 2 to token 3, so on and so forth. That's two. And then the third is contribute to this buy and burn mechanism. So buying, that's just three. There's a lot of other things as well that have the tax tokens, but those are like the three basic things. Yeah, burn some pDAI, provide liquidity. And again, like how people might get a little bit, like I see opportunity when I see something like this and it's like, oh, 12 grand in liquidity. That's so small. The liquidity pool only has 1.5 million pDAI in there and 1.2 million Mandala. I look at that and go, well, they're showing something that works. It's connected to an ecosystem that's a liquidity backing. So it's like a fractionally reserved system. And they're showing how it's proved over a longer period of time how they can do it. And like, I don't know, I just see unlimited opportunity when I look at something like this. And when you get in on the ground floor and anything, as you know, it's so much better. So if you get in on the ground floor where there's 12,000 in liquidity and you put 1,000 in there, then there's 13,000. Or hang on, no, 12,000. Then when you put 1,000 in there, then you're owning what, like 1%, 10% of the liquidity, and then more people add liquidity. And it just continues to fill up your liquidity pools. That's the real beautiful.
Remember though, Steve, this is 20 hours old, so people are getting in. So so get in, help us make this as big as possible, as quick as possible.
Love it, absolutely love it.
3.3 million pDAI have been burnt so far in 20 hours. It's not bad.
3.3, so it's doubled.
Yeah, 3.3 million. Just checking
nice.
out.
Very nice. Okay, gentlemen. I don't know. The questions are slowing down in the chat, so there's been a lot of really, really good, intelligent questions and really thoughtful questions. I don't know if you guys have anything else that you want to add before we round this up, or anything that you feel like we've missed.
I'm pretty good. I mean, as we progress, Stephen, it would be great to have us back on so we can give an update.
Of course. Yeah. And, you know, I mention this quite a lot, and the reason why I've loved having you guys on is, I mean, I don't get approached like by a lot of people to talk about their things, but the things which interest me are ecosystems. I'm not really interested in an individual token and, oh, look at this token, it's got a burn and thing and it's going to go up and do a 10,000x. I'm not really interested in that. What I'm interested in is systems and how the system can contribute to the betterment of humanity. So even though we're talking about this, and I'll obviously continue to have you guys on because I've really enjoyed our conversation. If anybody else is out there that's building these things, like, I'm happy to accommodate talking about systems. I don't want to talk about tokens. I want to talk about systems. So I'll put that message out there to everyone. But yes, of course, you guys are always welcome.
Awesome. Brilliant. One thing I will say, actually, you were saying that you don't like meme coin, you know, or the whole meme coin thing. Let's imagine any coin that is made in pump tires. I believe, I could be wrong, I really am not interested in it, but they have 1 billion token supply. That means with the V3 minter, someone could turn any pump fund coin into a parent of a child and maybe make some new angles and do some maybe better things with some of the coins that have come out of that.
Richard, that's a brilliant.
What about make your coin deflationary? I think DeFi, you mentioned something about, has Crypto Coffee got a top hat coin? Yeah, why don't he does a child hats off? Yeah, and they start playing this game and start earning liquidity on it and just making it a bit. I don't know. Hey, it just got me thinking. Any coin with 1 billion supply, or less than 1.1, could utilize the V3 minters without any headache of ratio changes. And then they could bring a whole new aspect to the idea of burning. They could burn, stuff instead of to the dead address. They can make a new coin out of it. and continue to
any
fund.
tokens, Richard. That's the
Yeah.
beauty. I mean, this is, I put out a tweet the other day. I said, what's your favorite token? And I listed a few, and I don't think anyone saw the core of the actual message. Everybody started shilling their tokens, and I'm like, I think you guys have missed the point here. But even Hex, imagine if the Hex OG whales, you hear about these cabals of Hex OG whales that dump on everybody. Imagine if we had a Hex cabal of OG whales that all the yield that they're getting, they're creating a token that burns against it, and then they're burning their Hex rather than just dumping their Hex onto the market. Imagine if they started to do that, and then they worked towards price appreciation instead of price depreciation, and then complaining about Richard not, like, for some reason, everything gets blamed on Richard. Like, I don't understand this mentality about blaming everything that's happening on Pulse Chain on Richard. I think it's completely absurd. But yeah, I like it's literally every single token on the chain people could do this with. But it's a matter of whether they have that mindset or not.
You won't hear us moaning like that in the Matrix.
No, there's always only positivity around this type of vibe.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, yeah, it could really change the face of sell pressure to your coin, instead of, as you just said, instead of selling it, mint it into something else. You could do something else with. Indeed. Exactly.
But then expand that concept out, right? So then let's just, if you talk about Hex, and then you're getting hundreds of thousands of Hex that are getting burnt all the time by these end stakes into this token, but then that token ends up dumping. And then what happens? Then with your Hex, you buy that token up, and then you can create some kind of equilibrium there as well. And so then Hex now has like a stabilizing mechanism against this other token, which creates like a downside pressure buffet that will hopefully forever hold as more and more people expand this idea. Yes, there's risks. There's always going to be risks. It's not a guarantee, but it at least opens up a potential that gives the market the power. Instead of complaining and, oh, why is this not happening? We now have the power to protect our tokens with this system. And I think that that's something that I'm really trying to get that message out more and more.
The only aspect to that, and I agree, it's a huge benefit, is that you have to maintain the peg, right? If you lose the peg, then everything falls over, and that's a really difficult piece, and that's what we're trying to do in the TG. But yeah, that's the peg is important. Yeah,
of course,
for pegging assets, of course. But I mean, someone could use it just to make a new asset. You could even get the meme coin people using this technology.
But you wouldn't want to burn your top hat into little hat if you were going to get less value. So you have to make sure those two are pegged, and to keep those two pegged is the complicated bit.
Or could you set it at a higher price, even a higher price tag? How would that work?
Anyway, it's a different conversation.
Indeed. Brilliant.
Okay, so I guess Pineapple 888 summary. Really, the summary is that the Mandala ecosystem is showing us how we can create a peg with the Atropa Treasury System, and how we, the market, become the oracle. So it's the consciousness of the market that stabilizes the value, and the user input that stabilizes the value, and our belief on whether it is $1 comes down to us. And not only are we giving hopium and saying, oh, we can get to $1, we're showing you how it can actually stabilize. They've created they've created the Mandala ecosystem as like a liquidity backing. Now they've created they first created Lucent and what is this? Is this Epiphany. And they're shown how, okay, we've actually done this over a 2-week period, that we've basically created a stable asset over a 2-week period. Now they're expanding that because it's an experiment. So now they've expanded that experiment to pDAI and MXDAI. And so they've done this now over, this is less than 24 hours old. And now they're showing how they're going to show over time how we can do this with this. As a liquidity in this system builds up and this peg is stabilized and maintained, the early investors become the biggest beneficiaries, particularly as liquidity providers, because you're basically providing liquidity at assets that are worth in the US dollar like less than a cent. What are they? Yeah, I mean, less than a cent, basically whatever pDAI's value is. So less than a cent, and then you're just going to be getting yield on those assets if you become a liquidity provider. Also showing how there's multiple ways to contribute to the ecosystem or become part of it. That's kind of the summary of what we've spoken about today. Is there anything that I've missed, guys?
Brilliant summary, Stephen. Thank you.
Just for more information, come on to the Telegram. We'll be very pleased to help you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I will leave the Telegram in the description. So it's not there at the minute, but I'll put it in there straight after this. And then also the YouTube channel. So if you guys want to learn more about how they do this and what they do, and like I said, the videos are very short. You'll be able to consume all their content within basically a few hours. So they've done a really good job of summarizing everything very quickly. So
cool.
All right, brilliant. Let's leave it at that. Thank you so much, fellas. Any last words before we close up?
I'm very good, thank you.
Absolute pleasure. I've got a shout out to my boy Puffy. I got him. He's a 25-year. We've been a good friend, and he's been in your chat longer than I have.
Puffy, he's your boy, is he?
Yeah,
Puffy X,
boy.
one of your mates.
There he is, my boy. I wouldn't be able to get away. I wouldn't be able to live it down if I didn't shout him out.
Is he one of your real life friends? Is he?
Yeah, man. 25 years. I got him into.
Nice.
I got him into Pulse Chain. So I keep telling him he'll be back in profit at some point.
Nice, man. I know Puffy. Yeah. I've been seeing him for a long time in the chat. So it's really cool. Indeed. That's really cool.
Yeah, cool. So I'm done. So thanks ever so much, Steve. Thanks ever so much for your time.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure, boys. Thank you for proving.
Hey, man.
The proof is beautiful. Thank you very much, everybody. Any questions, go to the Mandala Matrix Telegram, and take care, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.